My studio is not working, so I'm just going to do it on here. Finding Your Roots Again, inspired by Maple Sugar Moon in Braiding Sweetgrass by Savannah Shultz. On a farm, not a normal farm, a maple tree farm, a family tends to the trees and cares for one another. The farm is called Shultz Maple Farm, and it provides maple syrup for the whole town. The Shultz family has had this farm in their family for generations, and now it is father, mother, David, the oldest brother, Heidi, the oldest sister, Trevor and Tinley, the twins, and Maple, the youngest of the siblings, who tend the farm. The whole family works on the maple trees. Mother and father work all day, and the children work after school into the night and the weekends all day. Time for school, mother yells up the stairs, acting as all the children's alarm clock. After a moment of rolling around in their beds and complaining about being tired, they all roll out of bed one by one. Then it is a fight for the bathroom. However, clever Maple stays in her room and gets ready. There is no fighting, and she's able to have the whole room and mirror to herself, where she can tie her bows into her two braids. Maple, you are not going to have time for breakfast, Mother yells up the stairs one last time. Coming, Mom, Maple yells as she runs down the stairs. The spread looks as though Mother has been up for hours, and she's made the family's favorite, maple syrup oatmeal with strawberries and bananas. She also had all the lunches packed and cleaned up after the cooking. Father was strapping his boots up and getting ready to head to the farm as Mother was preparing the lunch they would both have in the middle of the forest. Finally, Mother sat down and poured herself a cup of tea and added, drops of the family maple syrup. We use our syrup in any way we can, so does everyone in the town. Bill comes at the end of every week to pick up the supply we sell at the store in town, which is always sold out by Wednesday. Father looks at last week's report of the selling of maple syrup. We have to spend more time in the forest today. The town needs more syrup and we barely have enough for ourselves, Father says disappointingly. We have been spending more time and drying up more trees faster than ever before, Mother says with worry. It will be fine. We just need to go deeper. David, make sure you and all your siblings meet at the west ridge of the forest after school. Please don't lollygag after school. We need all hands on deck this week, Father says as he finishes up his coffee and stands up to ready the truck to head to work. Yes, Dad, and Mom, don't worry. We will stay late with Dad to help, David says cheerfully. Mother nods. She then turns to start packing up the book bags and handing them to all of us after we are finishing up eating. Father walks out the door. I'll pack us all a supper to have tonight at work. Maybe some maple banana muffins, Mother says with a bright smile. That sounds great, Mom, Maple shouts. The children begin to head to school. That day after school, everyone begins their long walk to the West Ridge, which is past the house. From the house, school is about 1.5 mile walk. The West Ridge from school is about 2 miles. The whole walk, the children talked about their school days and played I Spy. Once they all get to the forest, there is no waste of time. They begin to search for the trees that don't have fresh axles. For generations, the Shultz family only uses family-made tools, including the axe, reed, and buckets. This is because the family has always made it from natural things made from the earth, so there's not as much harming to the trees. Trevor and Tinley are walking along the fourth row of trees and notice something. Trevor yells out, Dad, someone is stealing our sap. They put a metal reeds in 3 of our trees. Tinley follows in suit of shouting with worry, and it looks like the buckets are really full. They've probably been here for hours. No, those are ours. I have not had time to make more supplies. And when we need as much maple as we can get from the trees, Father explains. I have more in the back of the truck we need to put in the trees. But Dad, we are only supposed to use our tools, remember? Grandma's story says that if you respect the trees and use the not harmful tools, the syrup will always flow, Maple says with worry. Maple, your father is doing his best. Just do as he says, Mother says with a soft, encouraging voice. At the end of the week, the bucket had no more than a couple drips each day. The trees were drying up and some were even dying. Father didn't have any time to give the trees fertilizer. On Sundays, Father would always have the family say a whole prayer for the forest. However, this Sunday, Father did not show ingratitude for the forest. There was too much disappointment for the lack of sap. Another week went by with no sap. The family stopped going to the forest to see if waiting would help. The town began to wonder if they would ever taste the delicious Schultz maple syrup again. Sitting in school one day, Maple's teacher was teaching the children about being grateful for each other and treating everyone with respect is important. The class also talked about how without respect, you can't expect to get anything from anyone. This made Maple begin to think about how fathers stopped their family tradition that went back generations of respecting the forest that gave them so much. She wanted to show the forest respect again, and maybe the forest will give the sap back. That night, Maple said the prayer for the forest, just like her father used to do, all the generations before that. After school every day that week, Maple went and took all of the new tools father had brought into the forest, and she threw them away. She also fed the trees and continued with prayer every night to hopefully help. After a week, Maple asked her father if she could come with when he checked on the forest. Even though father did not see the point, he let Maple tag along. On the ride there, Maple told her father what she had been doing in the forest. Father was not upset, but did not understand why or think that it would make a difference. We learned in school that you have to respect things that you want something from, Maple explained. Well, then maybe we should say a prayer before we go look. Father asked and Maple agreed. They said the prayer before getting out of the truck. When walking up to the biggest tree in the forest, they saw it shining in the sun. They began to fill with excitement. Father took out his axe, the one that he had made and always used, and cut a hole in the bark. When he put his reed, the sap came flooding out. Maple shoved the bucket under the reed. Maple, it worked. You were right, Father said as he grabbed Maple and hugged her so tightly. No, the trees did it, Maple explained. Thank you, trees. Haha, yes, thank you, trees, Father said with a smile so big. From then on, they stuck to the ways of respecting the trees and praying for the forest. For generations, this story was told to remind the family that the trees would provide the sap as long as they were respected.